US President Joe Biden has welcomed the leaders of South Korea and Japan to a summit at the Camp David. The historic trip comes at a time of heightened tension in the region and was a chance for the president to show Washington's deep ties with the Indo-Pacific nations.
For the first time in his presidency, Joe Biden is hosting a Camp David summit. Friday, the heads of Japan and South Korea arrived at the secluded presidential retreat, a relatively short 60 miles from the White House, but with a long history of U.S. diplomacy.
I can think of no better way to mark our new chapter of our trilateral cooperation than meeting here at Camp David.
The last time the retreat was used to host heads of state was in 2015, when President Obama convened Gulf cooperation nations. This time, the White House is hoping to use the historic summit to urge two key Asia-Pacific allies to turn the page on their difficult history and commit to bolstering security ties together.
This is the inaugural of a whole new kind of beginning, a new era of the three countries coming together.
But the gathering is also considered part of a larger strategic move for the U.S. as the president works to counter China's influence in the region.
The truth of the matter is this meeting is all about the threat from the Chinese Communist Party. And I think it's great that these leaders are getting together, that the South Koreans and Japanese and Americans are all working on this strategic threat.
This isn't about containing China. It's about dealing with a wide set of threats and challenges and, quite frankly, opportunities in that part of the world.
For more on this, I'm now joined by Dean of Global Futures at Curtin University, Professor Joe Siracusa. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. What's the significance of the trilateral meeting, particularly given that fraught history between South Korea and Japan, as we've just heard?
Good afternoon, Danica. Look, it's a very brave effort on the part of the Biden administration, which frankly has very little to show in the area of foreign policy, and it's run up to this. Biden hasn't been able to do much with Iran or North Korea or China or Russia. So, he's trying to, put his people together. That is the Japanese, with whom the United States have a separate treaty, and the South Koreans, with whom they have a separate treaty, and trying to get them on the same side, sort of put some new facts on the ground. And the gentleman from the Defense Department says this has got nothing to do with containment. Of course it has to do with containment. This is a chance. This is a Biden's opportunity to sort of knit together a sort of like a NATO-like treaty in that neck of the woods, and it's designed to keep the Chinese behavior down to a minimum. And the United States, of course, has identified China as the main threat. Now, Danica, all I can say is what Voltaire once said about somebody. I mean, this is a lot of work for an omelet. I don't see much coming out of this. I mean, they already agreed to call each other when the North Koreans start flinging the missiles around, and they're all about supply chain, et cetera, and the president's reading his teleprompter. I mean, it's a grand effort to put America front and stage, but most of all, what they're trying to do is to set something in stone so that the next guy, who may be Donald Trump, can't reverse this development. So, they're trying to say is that no matter who the president is, we have this trilateral arrangement carved in stone. Well, good luck with that. But I think it's important, though, that the Japanese and the South Koreans talk as much as possible, since they've been at each other's necks for the last 100 years. So I think that's an important positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that security pact of the three having to alert each other when something happens in the Pacific. Realistically, how big of a difference will it make in that region with China and North Korea?
Zero, actually. It doesn't make any difference. I mean, if North Korea or China acts up, the United States will take the lead. It will count on Japan and South Korea to come to the party. It will count on the Australians to come to the party. I mean, and Quad's not coming to the party. India's not going to lose any blood or treasure over anything America, Australia, Korea, or South Korea, or Japan worry about. So, this is an effort to send an important signal to the Chinese that they can't have their own way in this neck of the woods. And of course, the Chinese are going to push back at this. They're going to say, look, this is about the worst parts of containment. What the Chinese like to say, what if we put foreign troops in Canada or Mexico? What would the Americans do, kind of thing? And so, they have that kind of a point. But look, this isn't going to solve very much. And I think at the end of the day, the United States rides point on this. South Korea and Japan ain't going to do a thing without the United States. Without United States leadership, there will be no peace in that region for now or the near future.